All right, all right. We are back at it today. We are back in our Belmar studio. We have a very special guest on. We have Cherie from Hands On CPR. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How's everything going today?
Good. It's Monday.
It's Monday. It's the end of getting ready for the end of the year. So let's get right into it. So you are in the CPR business. You don't hear that often from people.
No, I guess not. CPR, it is required by a lot of jobs, but not a lot of people do what I do.
What makes you different at it?
Well, I do it full time.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times people that do CPR training, it's like secondary, and I have an office training site located in Hooper Avenue in Toms River.
How long have you had that?
Since March of 2022.
And what made you get a brick and mortar facility?
Well, I got the brick and mortar because I had a lot of individuals that needed CPR training, and I couldn't fit everybody in my house. So I do go out to offices, and I still do go out to different establishments. Like I do OCC's nursing staff, and I go to gyms and doctor's offices, dentist offices, and I do their CPR training, but I wanted to have a special place, just a room full of dummies.
So it sounds like you've been around.
A room full of dummies, that's funny.
It sounds like you've been around for a while. What inspired you to get into this business in the first place?
Well, I worked at what is now Hackensack Meridian, but way before then, when it was Brick Hospital, Point Pleasant Hospital, and I did community education. So I would do all kinds of different classes: bicycle safety, babysitting classes. We still offer babysitting classes at CPR at my office, but different arthritis classes. And when they merged with Jersey Shore University Medical Center, they did away with my department. So and that was in 2000.
Okay.
So that's when I lost my position for the hospital, and I was unemployed, and somebody called me and they said, "We have a class scheduled for, 2 weeks from now." And I was like, well, she was like, "Can I call Arlene?" I'm like, "No, Arlene retired." And so she's like, "Well, what do I do?" So I called Jersey Shore, and they said, "Do you still have your dummies?" And I did. They said, "I'll send you the paperwork, collect the money, and pay for your cards." And I did. And that was the start of my business in 2000.
Wow, 24 years later.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
24 years later. And here I am with more dummies and now a training site. So.
At least you have a place to put your dummies.
Exactly.
So what does the training entail? And by some of these industries, is there different regulations? Is there different certifications, or how does that work?
That's a great question. So I do two entities. I do the American Heart Association, and I do an entity called HSI. It's Health and Safety Institute. So when I teach for people that are required to get CPR through the state seems to like the certification of the HSI better. So I teach HSI to people who need like CPR with first aid. American Heart Association, they're more for like schools or doctors' healthcare. So the American Heart Association is required in the state of New Jersey for all nurses. Anyone who works in a hospital has to have American Heart Association. It's called BLS, Basic Life Support. So that class, most of the classes run between like 2 to 3 hours, and they're video driven, they're watch while you practice, and they're very user friendly. When I first started teaching CPR, the classes were a little more difficult and people were really nervous to do CPR. My class, I always say, everybody leaves with 100, because my job is to make sure that people leave feeling confident with their CPR skills.
That's awesome. Do you have, obviously professionals will come to you, right? Do you offer courses to non-professionals, moms, dads, caretakers? Is that something that you offer as well?
Yep. So there's a class called CPR for the Friends and Family, and we make it actually like a little party. So I have wine glasses, I have plates and like setups at my office, so new moms or expectant moms come into my office with their friends or their family, and they'll have like little, they'll bring snacks and stuff, and it'll be like we call it a CPR party. So those are a lot of fun. They're about an hour in length, and it's just for knowledge. So there's no real written test, or there's no test at all. people can actually just sit and watch the video if they wanted to. They don't have to practice. Like I had a new grandma who didn't want to practice on the adult at all. She wanted to focus on the infant. So she sat through the class and she watched, but then she really focused her practicing on the infant victim.
So if that person is not going to help someone in need that's older than an infant, does she have a tag that says CPR infant only? Like, I mean, that's crazy a little bit, but
well, that's why all CPR classes they include adult CPR because adult and child. An adult is considered over puberty. A child is considered 1 year to puberty. So, but for the adult and the child, the skills are pretty much the same. With the infant, it's a little bit different, and an infant is considered under 1 year of age. So all of my classes include adult and child, and then infant is kind of a throw-in if they wanted that too.
And now do some of these places like nurses and massage therapy, do they have to get like an ongoing, or is it a one and done for life?
Every certification needs to be renewed every 2 years. So I pretty much see the same people every 2 years.
So every 2 years you have like a recurring business in a sense that they have to come back, get re-renewed. Now, from a marketing standpoint or from a follow-up perspective for your business, how does that how do you go about doing that?
I deal with a lot of businesses, so I just contact the businesses. But for the individuals, I'll normally shoot them a text. Hey, you know what? You're up for your renewal. I have this class, this class, this class, and then if those classes don't work for the individual, I'll just say what works for you, and I'll throw in a class. And then if I get other people that need to, then it becomes a group.
How many people is a good sized class for you?
I try to keep my classes, I like to start at 6, and I try to keep them between like 12 and 20, but I have done 40 plus people. I've done 75 people at a dental convention, and that was challenging, but it was also fun. I try to make the classes fun for the people that are taking the class. I'm trying to, because we all have to be there. So it just makes it better if we're having a good time rather than...
And how long does it take?
It takes about 2 hours.
Cool.
And I saw recently, I had seen there's like an electrical one where it does the pumping for you. I'm assuming you also have to be certified to even use that. And what is that called?
Okay, so the electrical device is in some EMT stations. It's called a Lucas. It's not. They're very expensive, so they're not very widespread. We do have some in Toms River. Silverton First Aid has one. The Toms River EMS, they have at least one. But what it does is the person who's the EMT or whoever is doing the compressions for CPR, they continue the compressions while an EMT gets the Lucas set up. They put it on, the compressions pause for a millisecond. They put that Lucas on directly where on the breastbone you're doing the compressions, and the machine just does the compressions so that they're at the actual rate and the correct depth. So it is beneficial, but you still need that person to start the CPR.
Sure. So is that like the future? That's really the future then?
That is the future for EMTs and that kind of stuff. You're not going to have a Lucas in your home, or in a dental office. That's what the rigs carry.
Okay, that's cool. So let's talk about so you're in business 24 years on your own with a storefront for 2 years. What are some of the challenges? What are some of the opportunities? What are some of the things that you never thought would happen when you decided 24 years ago that you were going to become a business owner?
I didn't really decide. It was kind of pushed on me.
But you took on the challenge. Let's talk about that.
So I do have staff. I have 3 girls that work with me consistently. I have Cassie, who does all of my paperwork, and she's my right-hand girl. I text her anytime, and she responds right back. She gets their cards out. If they have a problem getting their cards, she makes sure that everybody gets their cards. I have Christine. When we go, when I have classes that are kind of far, or if I have classes that are really large, she'll, she helps me. And then I have another instructor, Kim, who does my evening classes, and when I have large classes, she'll take over too. So I have a really great staff, and then I have a couple of other people. I do want to hire a couple more instructors, so that's kind of challenging because, like I said, I'm one of the only people that does CPR training full time, so everybody else has jobs. So
you got to work it in.
exactly.
And now, are there other businesses like yours out there that are local, like that have the same kind of setup? And
There are, but they're not. I don't think they're as diverse. They have other entities like with AED sales, which I can provide AEDs.
what are AEDs for the
Oh,
for the
I'm
layman?
sorry. AEDs, automated external defibrillator. It's a machine that you attach to the victim's bare chest. It analyzes the victim's heart rhythm and will deliver a shock if necessary. The purpose of the shock, the purpose of the shock is to stop the victim's heart, to stop an abnormal rhythm, so the heart can find a normal rhythm again. And in the state of New Jersey, all schools, all nursing homes or long-term facilities, and all gyms by law have to have this machine. And state laws are different from federal laws. So federal laws, they have to be in like airports, cruise ships, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
You're a wealth of information.
I know some silly things.
It's all useful. God, especially if you're having a problem with breathing. Yeah. Becomes becomes not silly anymore.
Yeah, well, my kids also, they've followed in my footsteps to say, because my daughter now works for the Ocean County Sheriff's Department as a dispatcher.
Okay.
And my son is in the U.S. Navy. He's in the submarine in Guam. But he's interested in getting, when he comes to leave, he's mentioned about getting CPR instructor certified so that he can work along with me.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, that would be
So
really
possible
cool.
family business.
We'll see.
Oh, that's great.
That's great. So where do you see the business going?
I see, I just look to get more traffic into my training site itself. I think a lot of people don't realize that there is a training site in Ocean County, and they're traveling. And people are traveling to like different parts of the state to get CPR certified, and I'm like, I'm right here.
What would you say is I guess the benefit of going to a training center compared to just doing it at your facility or at home? Like, what's the one biggest thing that you think really separates it?
Well, doing it at a facility, as long as you have like an actual instructor, that's fine too. But to come to an office where they have the dummies all ready for you and the videos all ready to go.
I laugh every time you say dummies.
Well, I always say I have a car full of dummies because that's, I have dummies will travel. So there's a whole bunch
Do you
of
put seatbelts on the dummies?
I could, actually.
And my wife's gonna watch this now and go, "Oh yeah, every time you're in the car, the dummy's in the car now." That's
It's also funny. She can go in the those HOV lanes in New York where she straps those dummies in there, and now she's driving fast.
Smart.
Giving me any ideas here.
Cop pulls you over. No, they're good. They're good. They're just sleeping. My dummies are tired today. That's too funny. So you said people are traveling. How do you get them to know? How do you become famous locally? Like, how do you think about getting more traffic into your location? Because again, all these places need it. So what's your goal now to kind of help them realize that you're just you're down the street, you're 10 minutes away, you're 20 minutes away?
Well, I do have a website. It's handsoncpr.com, and that I get a lot of Google hits because of the name Hands On CPR,
Which
because
is great.
a lot of times people, especially with COVID and with the online classes that have popped up, a lot of places don't accept online classes. You have to have a hands-on portion at least to be compliant with the regulations. So you need to have that hands-on. So that does help when people do Google search.
Cool.
Yeah.
And do the local fire departments, EMS, they all know you?
Yeah.
Do you get involved with them at all?
Yes, I work very closely. I live in Toms River, and I work very closely with the Toms River police departments, the EMTs, because, we've shared stuff from, because we all have the same entity. We all do the same. And our mission is all the same. We all want to, to make sure that people are CPR certified and knowledgeable. Knowledge is power. So knowing what to do in an emergency situation gives you the power to act in that emergency situation.
It's an awesome concept, right? You're not only, you have a business that's for profit, right? But at the same time, you're also doing for the right reasons, right? Like you're saving lives, but you also have a business that's to pay your bills, right? Help your family. So, do you see? Obviously, you've done CPR. Do you see yourself expanding outside of CPR, or do you think CPR is always going to be the home for you?
Well, I have had people ask me about babysitting classes, so I'm gonna incorporate them for the summertime for when the kids are off of school. And
So what is a babysitting class?
a babysitting class is when you get preteens like 11 to 13 or 14, so that they come in and we go over how to care for a small child and different ages and what the different ages need and how to diaper a baby, and it's fun. It's a fun class.
Different dummies.
Definitely. I have the baby dummies. I have baby dummies. I have all different kinds of dummies. So, but yes, to answer your question, what I do is very, very rewarding. When people do get saves, a lot of times they'll shoot me a text, they'll shoot me an email. I took your class, and 5 minutes later, that happened at JBJ Soul Kitchen in Toms River. Joanne is the director there, and like a few days after my class, somebody went down and she said that everybody did exactly what they were supposed to, and they felt like I was there talking them through everything step by step.
That's gotta be really rewarding.
That was very rewarding. It was a very nice email she sent me.
Like, that's great. Now, and you do a lot of networking too.
Yes.
That's where I met you.
Yes.
I met you at a K-Chev event. I met you at at the Anthony Battle Cornhole event, which was a lot of fun. Unique networking, but was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, no, it was great.
Getting to throw the beanbags with people you don't know is always fun. And made for
Great icebreaker.
Great
Yes.
icebreaker. That's I was gonna say
Definitely.
easy conversation, but
Yeah.
great icebreaker is a better phrase for that. So and that's where you find new leads too.
Yes, I've been a part of the Greater Toms River Chamber
Oh, yeah.
of Commerce since probably on and off since 2000.
Wow.
And they've gotten very they're very active now. There's so many different
They do a
events.
breakfast, right?
Yes, so a breakfast every second Friday. I just went
Second
to
Friday of every month.
second Friday
All right,
of
cool.
every month at B2.
Toms River Greater Toms River Chamber every second Friday of the month.
7:45 at
7:45. Wow.
at B2 in Toms River. They'd probably like me to say 7:30, but I normally get there at 7:45.
So people start rolling in 7:30, but it starts at 7:45.
I think so.
So you're just sneaking right in, right under the bell.
I try.
There you go. You're in Toms River, so it's an easy ride. Oh, that's great. And yeah, I definitely have heard some great things about that Chamber of Commerce doing some good, things.
And they host a CPR class every 2 years so that the members can
look
get
at
certified
that.
and that kind of stuff. Yep.
That's great. So what else you want to tell us about CPR? There was one thing that there's some new law that you are working with people for family members to be caretakers. I wanted to kind of touch upon that.
Okay, yes. So the state of New Jersey is now paying caregivers of disabled adults. So it's through the DDD, and the caretakers have to meet certain requirements, and one of the requirements is CPR with first aid training. So I work very closely with the state on getting these people certified through a CPR with first aid, and then they're able to be an official caregiver for their loved one.
That's actually awesome.
That's very cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yep, and then there's agencies that also provide DDD care that they're really cool. There's this one agency I work very closely with. It's Higher Agency, and he has caregivers. He has staff who take disabled adults to events. Like they'll take them bowling, or they'll take them to the arcade, and they'll take them to do fun
That's
stuff
really
with
cool.
them. Yeah, it's really fun to work with the same, and I see the same people because your certification has to be renewed every 2 years. So I see the same people. So it's like I know I'm going to see you in 2026.
Yeah. And it's great to see them over time.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So I have one last question for you.
Uh-oh.
If you could train anybody in the world, whether they're famous, they're not famous, they're alive, or anybody in history, who would you want to train and why?
That's a great.
tough question.
That's a great question, and I can give you a really good answer.
All right, let's do it.
You know the movie The Titanic?
Yes.
You know when Rose lets Leonardo DiCaprio go, And she's like, I'm sorry, I have to live. He was submerged in water. He had hypothermia. He could have been saved.
Oh.
He could have possibly been saved with CPR. So that's my answer.
Come on, my guy Leo.
That was a great answer.
That is a great answer.
I feel like you might have asked her this question ahead of time because that was such a great.
No, but I always think that every time I watch the movie, I'm like, you could have saved him.
Oh man.
All right, well that's great. So going into 25, what are you thinking about for continuing your business? And it's the 25th anniversary. You doing something special?
Oh, wow. And it's going to be my 2nd anniversary at my site. So I'm probably going to have a little, anniversary party.
All right, well keep us posted.
Thank
as long
you.
as we don't have to learn anything, we're good to come.
The wine part. I'm good with the wine part.
We're good for the networking and hanging out part. I don't know if we want to learn, the CPR, but
You could just take one of my CPR for the friends and families. Just watch.
there you go. Just watch.
Great job.
All right, so as we wrap up today, this was a great conversation. I'm so glad you came in.
Thanks for having me.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, of course.
Are you still nervous, or are you now less nervous?
I feel a little better now.
You're smiling. You seem like you got this under control. Let the audience know where they can find you online, where they can find you at your retail location, your social medias, anything you want.
Thank you. Okay, hi, I'm Cherie with Hands On CPR Training.
I've been
And
with you the last 20 minutes.
and you can find me at handsoncpr.com. And I also have a Facebook page, and I'm almost at 2,000 followers. So, yeah. So, that's Hands On CPR Training.
All right, and what
on
about your
Facebook.
location?
And my location is 1851B, the rear entrance of Family First Urgent Care. So it's on Hooper Avenue in Silverton section of Tom's River.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right, well, thank you for coming on. This was great, and continue doing great things.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.